morning. Kevin Phoenix with that hashtag show.
Hi,
Hey,
Kevin.
Kevin.
All right. Monarch Legacy of Monsters is awesome. You're both great in it. I definitely want to get into your characters questions in a bit. But first, I want to just kind of want to know what was your first like exposure to Godzilla and like the kaiju world?
When I guess I was made aware of Godzilla sometimes in like, I guess when I was a teenager or a kid, it's been around in like pop culture for so long. It's a character that's known all over, and it's so huge, such a massive creature, it's hard to miss.
Yeah, I think similarly. Like I think I watched the original maybe when I was in high school, but I didn't really like get much of an education about it until we started working on the show. And like more and more I become a bigger fan the deeper I go.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like it's something that was kind of there, but like the more you get into it, the more it's like, oh wow, there's so much kind of like lore and history behind it.
Yeah,
It's like
totally.
it's so fascinating. Going from kind of like knowing about about kaiju's and like Godzilla stuff, how did how did you prepare to go into this world like as kind of experts on the subject, like that are like aren't afraid to tackle these monsters? Like I imagine going in being afraid of a monster is kind of easy, but your characters are like experts on the subject matter. How did you prepare for that?
How did you
Well,
prepare for like go ahead, John?
no, I sometimes you'd have no idea what they're talking about. So I used to joke with Elisa on the set of just like sometimes you have to mean what you're saying, even though you don't know what you're saying means. Is kind of the best trick for some of that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't think you treat it necessarily any different than any other acting exercise. You just try to believe in the truth of what's happening, and that's your sort of best friend, I think.
Yeah, and you've established that these characters, that's what they do. They study monsters, and so they're just like confronted with that reality every day. That said, I'm sure the fans have a a bigger understanding of like it's like there's like encyclopedias, right? Of like all the names of the monsters and all of that. I can't say that I know all of their names, like, but
Yeah.
yeah, as characters, we do.
Okay. Yeah, cool. This question's for you. Uh, it's it's more about your storyline later, so I'll hold it till the episode airs, of course. Um, but your character is very steadfast and not necessarily a villain, but it's like one of those unyielding characters that, even though like the majority of people kind of like are against their actions, they don't relent. How did you go about bringing that to life? Like, is that something that you kind of experienced, or something that you just kind of like dove into?
Like that was a question for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Um, somebody described her as brutal, somebody described her as like, I was like, I don't know, I never sort of set out to make her like a villain.
Mhm.
It's also like the way we're filmed, and like there's definitely reminiscence of the Terminator in the way they've introduced her in places. It wasn't my intention to do that. Like I thought she's just this really kind of cool character who's in control, and she's very strong in her work, and she's guarded because there is actually a lot of pain underneath, you know, as a lot of those characters in that Godzilla world, like they've experienced like, something that has sensitized them to this cause. And yeah, but if she comes across as a villain, why not?
I don't think she's a villain. I think she has her reasons, and like I love how
Yeah.
you bring it about, and like
Yeah, and I think like all of those characters, in our stories, they all care ultimately, I think, about saving lives. It's just they have a different approach in doing that, and they have different beliefs in how that could be done.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I don't find like many of the characters in the show to be villains so much as there's just competing narratives.
mhm.
You know what I mean? I think everybody has a different response to how they think they should respond to the fact that there are titans in the world, and it's just the competition between those ideas that's really the conflict of the show, less than there are like people twirling mustaches and stuff like that.
Definitely agree. But Joe, I wanted to ask you about your character because you have kind of a kind of a polar opposite. Your character changes their like fundamentally kind of changes their understanding and their beliefs, and you delivered that so well. I was wondering like how did you go about to like kind of dive into that part where you kind of like almost switch sides.
Yeah, I mean it's a sort of thing where like I think Tim is open to like trying to solve the puzzle. I think Monarch, the institution, is trying to protect Monarch, the institution. And I think Tim thinks that the institution is there to do good. And so as things on the ground, information on the ground changes, like he's willing to change with it. And he's trying to sort of solve this puzzle. And because of his like affinity for the founding, like in Keiko and Hiroshi and all these people that he looked up to, and I think he wants to follow in their footsteps and do that same kind of good. So when it becomes a choice between Monarch trying to protect itself or doing good, it's not that I switch his sides per se. It's just that like I think he actually stays on the same track. It's just that Monarch moves. The party left me, man. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that. Well, Elisa, Joe, thank you so much for your time. I hope there's a lot more to come, and I can't wait for everyone to see the rest of the season. All right.
Yeah, great. Thanks, buddy. So nice to meet you.
Thanks a
Nice to
lot.
meet you. Thank you.